Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله. حي على السلام. حي على السلام. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل. حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال كل شيء كما قال عز الشان كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام سبحان من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعزب عنه معاصي العباد في الخلوات سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحم من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفو تفضل ونشهد أن محمدا سيد المرسلين وخير المبشرين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف ضل عنها ضل فغرق وهو أوصيكم عباد الله بالاتسام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وأروة وثقى فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I begin by advising myself and all of you to adopt the taqwa of Allah as is the best of provisions. Sorry for a delayed start because there was some technical difficulty with the camera. The ayat that I chose for today's discussion is from Surah Rum, ayat number 21. This chapter Rum, which talks about many of the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are a sequence of these ayat which begin, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ. And so amongst one of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is being mentioned over here is the sign which talks about this marriage or the bond between husband and wife. And we look at this concept, and of course we are, this part of the world celebrates on 14th of this month, a day which is to show love and affection. And hence we find that with that love and affection, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. With this love and affection which Islam recognizes a bond between husband and wife only. Any other bond aside from the relationship between husband and wife is not acceptable in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Islam. And therefore, so much so that it counted this marriage to be amongst his signs. He said, and his signs is that he created for you mates from your own selves that you may take comfort in them. And he ordained affection and mercy between you. These are indeed signs in that for a people who reflect. So those who are intellectual, those who reflect, those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala considers to be those who contemplate, yatafakkarun, are the ones who look at these to be the real signs. Everyone is seeking a peaceful life. I don't think anyone is after difficulties and turmoil. If they come and they present themselves, that's fine. We deal to cope with them. But you don't necessarily go after difficulties in your life. You're looking for a peaceful environment where you can live, you can raise your kids in, and live a peaceful life. Imagine living in some parts of the world where it's not sure whether you'll be able to make it throughout the day. Just for the fact that you're going to work, will you be able to make it back home safe and alive? So these, unfortunately, there are certain places in the world that are in that, unpeaceful manner. But everyone is usually, even those people who are living in such places, if they don't have any choice, if they did, they would prefer to live in a place where there be peaceful environment. In fact, love and mercy constitute the glue and cement for the structure of the human society. Now, this is talking about you might have peace outside, but if the peace is lacking inside the house, then the one that is outside is not going to be any help either. What you need to have peace inside. The more there's peace within, there will be peace outside as well. And if there's lack of peace outside, you'll be able to cope with it if there's peace within. But if there's peaceful environment outside of you, but you are disturbed internally, then it's not really going to make any matters good for you. So therefore, it mentions that this marriage, this love and mercy that constitutes the glue and cement for the structure of the human society. There are some differences between love and mercy. Number one, love is the initial motivation for establishing a relationship. However, at the end of life, one of the other one, where one of the two partners get weak, what is needed? This mercy is needed. So therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned two words, mawaddat wa rahmah. So what is the outcome of this mawaddat and rahmah? Mawaddat, we understand the spouses supposed to love each other, and there's mahabbat between the two of them. But the mercy part, the rahmat part, is, well, wait till you get old. At that point, love is not really something which you're looking for, it's the rahmat that you're looking for, mercy that you're looking for. So according to this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends to see us what? Remain married until our last breath, until we leave this world. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends on seeing you, that you are with a partner. Number two, love exists between two adults who can serve each other. However, children need mercy to grow up. So husband and wife, they might have love for each other, but the children, along with the love, they also need what? Mercy. Because right now, they are at your mercy. Because right now, they can't really do much. They need your support, help in every aspect of their lives until they are grown up. So that's where the concept of mercy comes into place. A marriage isn't about one person and being selfish. Rather, it is something which you include others in it as well. Number three, love is usually a mutual feeling. If it's only one-sided, then of course, it's not going to last that long. It has to be a mutual feeling, while mercy is unilateral and mixed with self-sacrifice. You might see that when it comes to mercy, only one person could be merciful and they'll still survive. But in order for this bond to exist, love has to exist on both sides. So both sides will have their share of sacrifices in a married life. A discourse on the concept of the extent to which men should take part in showing this love and mercy. You know, a lot of time it's not just from your words that you say. Words are important. You should utter it through your tongue all the time. For both spouses, for that matter. Secondly, it is also through certain things that you do for each other. You know, you provide support and you help each other in, whatever their needs are, fulfilling the needs. That also shows that you love each other. So there are different ways of expressing love. One is just uttering through your tongue. Second is doing something for the other partner. And then also, when it's in a husband and wife relationship, it is also helping out in things which might not be your, for example, duty per se. So if it's not really my, we've decided from the very beginning that I will take care of these things, you will take care of these things. So A, B, C is my duty, D, E, F is your duty, or X, Y, Z is your duty, right? But it is not written in, Lawh Mahfuz that, no, you can't do X, Y, Z, for example. No, if it needed, if, for example, the other spouse whose duty is to do X, Y, Z, and they're unable to do so, there's no difficulty in me stepping in and taking care of that. And that actually is a real place of showing love. You can spend a great deal of money to buy expensive gifts, but the moment you don't have the ability to go ahead and do these small tasks for each other, that's where the love gets lost. So there's a false pride which culture teaches us, and it degrades especially the women and the work that they do at the home. That husband and wife should have responsibilities divided, and in our culture, if, for example, men are doing certain things which normally are associated with women, right away they're looked down upon. So therefore, this is something which is false culture is teaching us. If anything we can learn from the society that we live in over here, there really doesn't exist anything like that. Therefore, husband and wife should have responsibilities divided. We hear that in the stories of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam and Bibi Fatima Zahra salamullahi alayha. And the more you hear about Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima is because Rasulullah gave them more advices than he gave anyone else. Rasulullah only had this one daughter. She got married to Imam Ali, and all the advices that were going toward husband and wife sometimes may not have been fitting to the stature of a person of Amir al-Mu'mineen, who's commander of the faithful, and the lady who's the Sayyidatun Nisa al-Alameen. Some of the things that Rasulullah have said to them may not be at the stature of these people, but Rasulullah had to get these things across so that it reaches us. So a lot of times you might find rawayat Which, like, really? Rasulullah said this to Imam Ali? Rasulullah said this to his daughter, Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen? Yeah, he said it from the aspect of being a father, a Nabi for the Ummah, and also so this message gets across. And therefore he saw them the most, and therefore he said these things to them. He said, "Oh, father of Hassan." So Rasulullah is addressing Imam Ali. He said, "Listen to me. I will not tell you anything but what my Lord commands." So first and foremost, Rasulullah clarifies, "Ma yantiqu anil hawa in huwa illa wahyun yuha." I say only what Allah tells me to do. God will establish the reward of as many years of fasting in the daytime and staying up at night to pray as there are hairs on one's body and, of course, your hair on your head for helping his wife with the housework. The reward will be similar to what he has granted to be patient to the patient ones and Prophet Dawood, Hazrat Yaqub, and Hazrat Isa combined, alayhi salatu wasalam. Just imagine the reward that Rasulullah is saying. Surely this reward will encourage believing men and women to help each other and abstain from being forceful and bossy. No, this is not my duty. You should take care of that. This is not my task. You should take care of that. You should be doing that. I got other things to do. You know, for example, I was at work 9 to 5. Now I come back home. Now I have to do this as well. Yeah, if this becomes a norm, you have to do this every day, then you might have a right to complain. But once in a while, if there is a opportunity is presented to you, look at it as an opportunity. What did Rasulullah say? He said, Allah will establish the reward of as many years of fasting during the daytime and standing up at night and performing the ibadat. The reward which was given to Dawood, Yaqub, and Isa, alayhi wassalam, to this husband who helps out his wife in the household works. Is that difficult? Yeah, but because culture gets in the way, and we say what? Culture gets in the way and we say, oh, this is not suitable for me to do. What will the people say? What if someone saw, that I was doing this or even found out that I was doing this? What will they say? This is the mentality which stops us from being that way. The reason we hear more stories, of course, of Imam Ali and Hazrat Fatima Zahra Salamullah Alaiha is because Prophet directly advised them on many of these occasions. For example, I'll share one more. Rasulullah, and majority of the time, Rasulullah is not addressing his daughter. He's addressing Ali ibn Abi Talib والسلام, in reference to this. He said at another place, "O Ali, man kana fi khidmatil iyal fil bayti wa lam." He says, "O Ali, God will record in the book of the martyrs the name of whoever serves his family at home and does not disdain it. God will establish the reward of 1,000 martyrs for each day and night, and will grant him the reward of pilgrimage to the house of Allah for every step he takes in this regard." I think this is opportunity knocking at your door. You need to realize the incentive which is being given. And last night I also said, Allah is someone, man sabaqat rahmatuhu ghazaba, whose mercy far exceeds his ghazab. Sometimes you don't even see any ghazab and wrath and punishment and torment from Allah, which is all promised in books. But you see, that seems like it's very difficult and far-fetched that if any one of us would be afflicted with the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with so many opportunities presented to do what? For the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here is another example of that. So improving the lifestyle is something which is being mentioned over here. Rasulullah, on numerous occasions when he's talking about, he says, whoever is affluent but is stingy with his family does not belong to my nation. You want to be called amongst us, mu'mineen and muslimeen, but you're miserly when it comes to spending on your family. Now, this is not talking about that when you don't have and you can't do some certain things. This is talking about that you are rich to the world, but when it comes to spending on your own family members, you become poor all of a sudden. Right now, you have to work out, I have this payment and I have that payment. Then you have to start thinking about, for example, let's save up for this and that. But when it comes to helping out someone else outside the family or spending on your own self, then there isn't any issue with that. Now, of course, you draw a balance between the two things, but at the same time, if you only prefer outside, but you don't spend anything inside, Rasulullah says, Laysa minna. That person does not belong to us. So the answer is, I provide you what's wajib on me. It has been narrated from our fourth Imam, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam. Whoever provides most amply for his family will be the most pleasing one near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This addresses the living conditions. Sometimes bigger house is not the answer. Rather, a house which you can call to be home, peace and loving house is the answer. So this is something where a lot of time we end up making this sort of mistake. I'll come to the conclusion as we began late, and I don't want to drag this too much. Inshallah, we'll get an opportunity to talk about this next week as well. What is the holy war mentioned for women in Islam? Now, we know jihad is something which is obligatory on men. That too, when Imam Masoom commands us to do, right? In the absence of Imam Masoom, it's not obligatory, first of all. Second, if, of course, in defense, you don't really need a religion to come and tell you that you have the right to defend yourself. So if you need to defend yourself, then yes. But to initiate, that's something which is cannot be done without the permission of Imam Masoom. Now, only men were allowed to enter the battlefield in the times of Masumeen or in the time of Rasulullah. Whenever all of those wars that took place, women and children were kept away from it, primarily because this was not expected of them, and they had other more important duties to take care of. So does that mean a woman will always be deprived of jihad? That men have the opportunity to go and get martyred? Well, the women will be deprived of that? Is that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deemed it to be? So no. Fifth Imam Muhammad Baqir ﷺ mentions this. He said, Inna Allah azza wa jalla kataba ala al-rijal jihad wa ala al-nisa'i al-jihad. فجهاد الرجل أن يبذل ماله ودمه حتى يقتل في سبيل الله وجهاد المرأة أن تصبر على ما ترى من أذى زوجها وغيرته. God Almighty has decreed holy war for both men and women. So neither one of them is deprived from attaining that status of martyrdom. The holy war for men is to expend their property, their blood, until they attain the martyrdom and they attain this shahadat in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A woman's holy war is to be patient with the troubles she experiences from her husband out of whatever, she makes, and she shows sabr upon that. That is considered to be her holy war. Now you might say, well, that's easy. She got away with it easy, right? Over there, men have to go out and fight for their nafs and sacrifice their wealth. Now, sometimes these things are more difficult. To be able to show patience, to be able to go about it without, raising any complaints. That becomes even a more difficult task. Fifth Imam, has considered the house to be the front in this tradition. I'll just give this comparison and inshallah we'll conclude. Fifth Imam considers this house where this woman, this lady is, to be what? To be a battlefield, to be a battleground, to be a front. And in this tradition, he says the soldiers who fight in this front are the women. They're the ones who are sacrificing themselves. They're the ones who are fighting. The most important weapon that is being used in this war is what? You said, sabr, patience that they have to use. The swords and the spears are the troubles she experiences from the husband. The woman should not escape from this front. Like how some men used to run away from the battlefield. How you regard those people who used to run away from the battlefield? Those who were Ferrari, not the car. Farar from the battlefield. Rasulullah is fighting and they see that Rasulullah has been killed. Someone, rumor was, sent out that Rasulullah has been killed. Now, as soon as you hear that your commander-in-chief is killed, people left. But of course, not many did. Some of them left the scene. So, Rasulullah is dead now, there's no hope. So ayat was revealed. If he died or he was killed, which he didn't, of course, right now, but he will eventually die. And if he's killed, are you going to turn back on your heels the way you did today? So there were people who ran away from the battlefield. How do we look at those people? It's gunah azim. Aside from the fact that, they become a laughing stock, but it's gunah azim as well. Similarly, it is encouraging that how men should remain steadfast in the battleground and not leave until the task is completed, is that women should also not escape from this front. She should withstand all this with patience and perseverance until the lifetime terminates, and this will be a good ending for them. So of course, this day is dedicated for, showing love and affection. Nothing wrong with that. As long as there's halal means to it, you should celebrate it all throughout the year. No problem with that. Any happy occasion, husband and wife should be able to celebrate by sharing gifts and whatnot. And there's nothing from the Islamic perspective that would be questionable. Yes, as I mentioned in the beginning of the khutbah, Islam only recognizes a relationship between the two genders, husband and wife, in the form of husband and wife, in the form of married couple. Any other relationship, of course, is not permissible, and therefore everything else that goes along with it will be also a sin. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq and ability to be able to fulfill our duties toward our spouses, give us the ability that we follow these commands and the teachings of Rasulullah Masumeen, what they used to do practically toward their spouses and how we should be with our spouses. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq that we break these barriers and the culture that have been imposed upon us, that certain things cannot be done by men. We move away from those things. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of our rated Imam, so we become the helpers and the soldiers of Imam in the Hasan al-Hadith. وَأَبْلَغُهُمْ وَإِذَا كِتَابُ اللَّهِ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته وذباه وبسط اليدين بالرحمة سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها وعفى السيئات ولم يجاز بها سبحان من لا يزداد ولا معص لبعد إلا كرمه وجودا ولا كثرة الذنوب إلا عفوا وصفا نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو لطوف على العباد بجوده والعباد والمظلمين بحلمه ونشهد أن محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين ألا قد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا للصفية إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى سيدة النساء العالمين وبذرة خاتم النبيين وسيدة النساء العالمين فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليها وعلى الحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ما ياثر البدء والطغيان هادم من الشرك والنفاق قاصد فروع البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آبائه الكرام متصلة الليالي والأيام اللهم عجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه واجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يديه وتفضل على أمراء المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهل ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين اللهم اجعلنا ممن يذكر فتنفعه الذكر ان الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون